Hi guys, this is Blachame again, and I'm back with another Atari ST related video. As you can see, I'm sat with my ST at the moment, but it's not switched on because in this video I'm going to be going over some of the ST books and literature that I have, so let's have a look. I was hoping I'd get like like a bird's eye view of this, but I'm just going to have to do it freehand, unfortunately. But I'm just going to go through these in no particular order. The first one is this. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Atari ST but were afraid to ask your children. And I love the little picture there of the entrepreneurial kid. It obviously came with an issue of Atari ST User magazine at some point. I'm not sure if there's a date on it, but no, it's going to be 90s, isn't it? Early 90s. So let's have a look what's in here. It's a very thin book. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Atari ST, but were afraid to ask your children. So, not a thinking man's games console or a child's silencer. A machine that can make any number of tasks that you carry out regularly easier and quicker. It's a very text-heavy little book. The ST is not a new computer. Like all successful computer ranges, it has had to develop in order to survive. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that it didn't develop quick enough. A bit like Commodore, really. They didn't keep up with the competition. And that, I think, played a part in their downfall, both companies. Commodore obviously lasted. Well, I was going to say Commodore lasted longer than Atari, but that's not actually true. Atari pulled out of the home computer market before Commodore, but Atari actually lasted longer than Commodore. They lasted all the way until 1996 in their original form, whereas Commodore, as many know, went bankrupt in 1994. But they made computers until the very end, whereas Atari ceased production of the ST and the Falcon in 93 to focus on the Atari Jaguar. Plummeled all their resources into that console to make it successful. And to be fair to the Jaguar, I don't think it's a bad console at all. And it certainly did. It was certainly a lot more successful than the CD32. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save Atari. And obviously, I think the final nail in the coffin for the Jaguar was the arrival of the PlayStation. And that also saw off the likes of the 3DO, the CD32. Yeah, PlayStation just kind of crushed a lot of the smaller 32-bit and 64-bit consoles. And you were left with just, it even saw off the Saturn eventually. So you were just left with the N64 or the PlayStation console-wise. And then obviously the PC. Let's have a look at this next one. Free 16 pages of tips for the Atari ST. Get the most out of your ST with ST format. Again, no date on this one, but I'm guessing it's going to be again early 90s or perhaps very late 80s. Desktop. It's quite interesting. We're only on page, what is it? Page 3, and we're down to assembly language already. That is impressive, because normally with these kind of books, it's kind of stuff that you already know. You know, it's like, this is how you click the mouse. This is what a mouse pointer looks like. This is called an icon. Whereas this is actually useful information that isn't included already in the manual, which is good. Have I actually used any of this information? No. It's just kind of sat on my desk, well, on my bookshelf, but never say never. I might be brave enough to give assembly a try sometime. Don't think I'm quite ready yet. Maybe in another 30 years, ask me. And some little cheats as well for some games. Crazy Cars, Dragons Left, Bloodwitch, I've got that game. Better Dead Than Alien. Good game, Better Dead Than Alien. Dragon Spirit, I've got that as well. Outrun. Controversial game. Lots of hate for the home computer versions compared to the arcade version. Don't think some of the conversions really optimized as good as they should for the home computers. There's been some remasters of it though, which have took more advantage. I think they've recently released an STE enhanced version, which I might get hold of at some point. Let's have a look at one more because my battery is running low. The Atari ST for Beginners, Everyone's Guide to Using the ST, from Abacus. It's a user-friendly computer. Yeah, compared to MS-DOS, which was being used at the same time as this, absolutely it was friendly. Was it as friendly as a Mac or an Amiga? Well, we'll leave that open to debate, but it was definitely a friendly computer. I've got a little introduction here. Dear ST user, we're certain you're on the way to becoming a genuine computer expert. You'll see that it won't take long for you to master your ST. You'll be able to program your computer in both BASIC and Logo. Yeah, Logo, don't really hear about it so much now, but back in the 80s and 90s it was very popular. And I can remember in maths in school, we had to learn to program in Logo. I think in primary school they were using it on the BBC microcomputers that we had. And then in high school we were using them on the RM. They had a suite of RM machines, research machines, I think it stands for. And even though they are PCs, thus quite boring, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the RM machines, purely for the nostalgia factor. And I can remember when they were brand new in schools and things. A lot of schools obviously use them to, they brought them in to replace the BBCs and the Acorn machines that they had. A lot of the first PCs that schools had were RM machines. I think they had some sort of contract with a lot of the schools. So they were running things like, Windows 3.1, I think was the first one that we had. And then I remember just before I left that school, they had upgraded to Windows 95 and then Windows NT version 4.0. Yeah, and then I think they got rid of the RMs after that. We went to Windows XP. But I digress. We're looking at this ST book, aren't we? Stuff there about the serial port configuration. Printers. I've never actually used a printer on an ST. I've used one on an Amiga, but not an ST. I'd imagine it's quite similar. I'm sure you can get third-party drivers and things that make printing on the ST a bit easier. If I recall correctly, there's a printer icon on the ST at the bottom of the desktop. And I may be wrong, but I'm sure you drag the document that you want to print over the printer icon and then it prints. And I'm not sure if it's the same on the Acorns either, the Acorn Archimedes. I know on the Acorn you can access it via a menu, but the Acorn RISC OS, which I happen to think is a very nice OS, relies heavily on drag and drop. Copying discs, yeah, we've all done plenty of that, haven't we? Multiple windows. One thing I do find frustrating about Gem on the ST is it's quite slow and clunky. I have got, as I showed in my other video, Warp 9, a software accelerator, which allegedly, well, to be fair, it does speed up the operating system, but it's still, when you compare it to like Amiga Workbench, it's still quite clunky and slow. Sorry, Atari fans, but that's just my opinion. What is ST Basic? I'm sure I've got another. Yeah, I've got a boxed version of ST Basic with the manual there, so I might look at that on another day. But yeah, I'm just skimming through this now. Oh, that's an interesting picture there. Input. Go to 10. Yeah, you're so. This, you know, everyone's first basic program, isn't it? 10. Print hello world. 20, go to 10, run. I'm sure this gets a lot more complicated than that. More basic stuff. Some more interesting looking cartoons. I don't think I've ever seen them before. These books are just things that have accumulated over the years. They've either came with an ST that I've bought and moved on, or, well, yeah, that's generally how I've got hold of them. I haven't necessarily gone out and bought them intentionally. Some of them I have, but this one I think, did I buy this one? I can't actually remember. Sometimes I buy them just because they look cool and they're old, and just for the retro vibe, you know, the nostalgia value. One day I might actually learn how to use them properly, but I find it far too easy to just boot up a game and get out the joystick instead. That's the dopamine chasing side of me. But yeah, we've got some ads in here as well. Paint Pro. Yeah, there's loads, wasn't there? Loads of different paint and art packages for the ST and the Amiga. Obviously, in those days, it was mail order. There was no internet shopping as such at that point. It was all either retail, face-to-face, or mail order. So you have to have a bit of trust that they were buying from reputable people, because obviously you could send them your money and then weeks, months go by and you still haven't got your product and you never see it. No PayPal protection in them days. Although I guess you have your credit card protection from your bank in the worst case scenario. But yeah, I think that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed that little quick look at some of my ST literature and books. I am going to go over some more in another video. But until then, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.